Aloha, welcome to Regex. So, by the end of this lesson, I hope that you too will feel comfortable demonstrating basic Regex skills. What is Regex?
Way to look for patterns in strings.
There you go. That's it. It's a way to find patterns in strings. So, some examples in strings. Some examples of where we might want to do that. If I want to get everything that starts with the letter S, I would do something like that. And then, oops, actually. That's everything that starts with the letter S. This is called an anchor. It means like the beginning of a string. That's the letter S. A dot matches anything. A star repeats the previous thing 0 or more times. And then these slashes around it are how we write regexes in almost every language. If I wanted to match the word cat, but I didn't care, well, if I just wanted to match the word cat, ta-da, that's it. If I want to match the word cat, but I don't care if the first letter is capital or lowercase, I would say that. Square brackets is a group that's saying anything in here. If I wanted to match any letter in the alphabet, I can say A through Z. They'll match any one letter in the alphabet. If I want to match the tab character, I can do \T. So hopefully this gives you an idea of like what we mean by matching patterns. Whole bunch of different ways we can do this. I want to get more into like some specific mechanics, and I want to get some practice in this also. But before we get going, what questions do you have?
Is that a lowercase c and then an uppercase c?
Yes.
Okay.
So is this something you just like type into a program? Is this like Regex something you download, or I mean?
Sure. Let's give an example in Node. Murder torchies. Killer clown. Regex. CD. So if I want to use a regex in JavaScript, I might do something like some string is cat. Now I might want to test some string to see whether or not it contains the word cat. So what I would do is some string dot test. I think that's how it works. I always get mixed up whether the regex is first or the string is first. JavaScript test. That's right, it's the regex first. So I would do something like cat.test some string. Did it match? And then if I log that and run this file, it does. Nice. What about if I don't care whether the first letter is capital or not? Oops. Come on. Does that match? True. What if this turns into dog? False. That's regex.
So is it included in every language?
Almost.
Okay, so it's just like something in the background to kind of like check and run through strings.
You can think of it like the same way we have functions, we have regex. We have a matching engine. I am not aware of a language that doesn't have some kind of regex implementation. Regex, I think, was first thing that had regex was probably Perl, but it's real handy, and so we use it all over the place now. Jared.
Is this command line stuff, or can you throw it in your code and functions and all that good stuff?
So by and large, we're doing this in code, not on the command line. Command line has a similar kind of system called globbing. So for example, let's say in this folder, I want to see all of the files that start with G. I can say ls, G, and then asterisk, and it'll give me both of those gem files. That's not regex. That's called globbing, completely different system. It's way lighter. There's not too much to it. I can see like question mark is a single character. So I can do like light replacement like that. That's just about it. But I could do things that start and end. So I could say ls m full, and it'll still give me that back. Way, way lighter though. Regex is actually like pretty intense, and so usually need like the full power of like a more robust programming language. Yeah.
So we would consider this a secondary to enumerables in a sense?
Not really. This would be more like I want to check a user submitted string to see that it matches a particular format, like a URL, for example. Is this a valid URL? So I write a regex to test whether or not it's a valid URL, and then I compare the thing that they sent me. And I go, oh, sorry, that wasn't a valid URL.
So does it have to do with authorization then? Yeah.
Not really. Like, you can have a happy time in this program and probably a happy first few years of your career and like never write one of these. But if you know that these exist, there's probably a category of problems that you can solve a lot faster without resorting to like switch statements and shit like that. Yeah.
Could you show us an example of using regex for breaking apart a string with multiple delimiters? So say we want to search for a comma or a double space or a hyphen.
Sure, and then you want to get all the things that match that?
Yeah.
So you do that with a thing called capture groups, which I'm not very good at. I am by no means a regex expert, but what that would look like, I'm actually going to have you guys read this in just a sec. Nope. Capturing. So, that's right, it's parentheses. So what you can do also is you can wrap something with parentheses, and then if you put like a comma in there, now you have a capture group, and you can actually find every single thing that matches that. And so that would be another use, is like if I have a string and I want to explode it into a bunch of pieces that are like comma separated or something, I can do that with regex. What else? Toby.
Returning like true or false.
So the true or false, like all of that kind of part of it is, so we're doing that with test right here. Oops. Where's the Rio? So we're doing this with test. There's a couple of other functions too, like match. Let's see, let's look it up. JS regex where's the
This
methods?
is, I guess, a dumb question, but like, it just stands for regular expression, Regex?
Correct. You got it. So yeah, let's try this. Instead of testing it, let's do match and log that. And this will be matches. If I run that, match is not a function? Is it on the string? No? Oop, exec, sorry. So if I do that, it'll show me all of the things about the, like what matched, what didn't. So if this string was more like cat, cat, dog, cat, cat, let me run that again. Like it did find a match and it found it at the very beginning of it. If I changed that string to dog, cat, cat, and run that again, now the matching index is 4. So I might be able to use something like that to make a substring or do whatever else. Yeah.
So do you have to hard code regular expressions, or is there a way you can use those backslashes and then put in, like let's
Sure.
say, I had a problem the other day where it was like, you had 2 arrays, we have like one string and then like a larger string, and you need to find that small string within the large string and then put what index it matched at.
So you would do that with something like some regex.exec. You can think of these slashes as kind of like being quotes like that. They work a similar way. You can just note that something is a regex. There's one other kind of neat thing you can do is, so we found the first match. Wait for it. And back. So we found the first match. You can also do something like, on the other side of this slash, you can say G, which is like every match. You can also say I, which is case insensitive. So now I don't need that anymore. We got a couple options we can do there. If I do that, exec still didn't give me more than one, but I'll bet it would if I called that more times. Anyway, yeah, Jared.
Can you interpolate?
Interpolate, no. Well, actually, I take that back. Well,
Oh, you can stack G and I, that's pretty cool.
yeah. No, you can't. What else? Yep.
If the slashes are acting sort of like quotes,
Mhm.
it's sort of like a collection, like it's an array, or
It's a regex. It's its own thing. Yeah.
Can, since it's its own thing, like functions or whatever, can you change, let's say, a string into a regex? Is there like some sort of like conversion there?
No, that would be the interpolation thing that Jared was talking about. Actually, I know how you do that. Let's say we wanted cat to be dynamic. That's like a thing that a user types in or something like that. Instead of using these slashes, you would do that like new regexp, and then you'd pass in whatever to it. And that's just a string that then gets turned into a regex. And then if you needed that to be global, there's like options that you can pass in. They're like global, true, that kind of thing. But you can think of that as kind of like being there between dot notation and bracket notation. If any of this needs to be variable, then you pass it in through that constructor. Other questions about what regexes are, anything like that? Yep, Toby.
I've seen it used in like filtering stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Is there restrictions around that? Like, can you use it for like in your little
No, so think about, let's do an example. Let's say I have dogs, and it's an array of dog names. So Bixby's in here, Barkley is in here, Catherine, and Will. So I want to filter this list of dogs so that I, for example, get only dogs that start with B. So maybe what I do is dogs.filter dog. And so the thing that comes back from that is, how do filter functions work? What is it looking for? Something that returns true or false. Awesome. That's what test does, right? So I could do something like B dot asterisk slash case insensitive dot test dog. If we return that, that's going to, fingers crossed, only return dogs that start with B. Let's see if that's what happens. Oops. There you go. There's Bixby and Barkley. Yeah.
What was the caret that you used in the first example?
So the caret is, oh yeah, so if it needs to start with, not just
Right.
have or whatever.
So if it was like William B in that first.
Exactly.
you could also return William B.
Right. We can also test for exact matches. If it needs to be Bixby but Bixby case insensitive, then I can say, like if I just do this, does it include Bixby? If I put the caret there and a $ at the end, it's exactly Bixby, because that anchors for the beginning of a string and that anchors the end of a string. So it can't be anything else in there. There's old Bixby.
Could you show us how to do all the ones with just with NL in it?
Sure. So if I just want it to have NL in it,
Okay. You just,
there's Barkley and Will.
okay.
If it needs to end with an L, L $, and there's Will. If all you remember about regex is starts with, ends with, and character groups, you're probably in good shape. So a character group is, that was that B or lowercase b or uppercase b. Or I think of another one. Something that starts with BI or BA. So maybe I'll say B and then IA, like that. And if I run that, it gives me Bixby and Barkley. So order on these doesn't matter. If I did something like BAI, doesn't matter.
And the reason you didn't put the anchor there is normally you would put the anchor there to be more specific.
Oh yeah, if I wanted to make sure that it began with that, not just included that.
Okay.
That's it.
And
If I put the $ on there, that means it needs to be the entire thing. This would match BA, BI, and nothing else. Yeah. So I could say starts with B and has any lowercase letter after it. I could also say any lowercase letter or any uppercase letter after it. And I could also say or any lowercase letter, any uppercase letter, or any number. So we can do ranges. We could also do like through G instead, or up to 4.
Is there like a second character in like that first letter too, or not?
Yeah,
B or W?
absolutely.
We could also do symbols or non
Mm-hmm.
integer.
Correct.
That
Yeah.
like starts with B and has an X anywhere.
And has an X anywhere. So that would be, shoot, I gotta do this right. Starts with a B, and then an arbitrary number of characters, and then, let's see, and then a Y, let's say. Let's see if that one works. Nope. Does it have to be star, maybe? There we go. So this is, starts with B, then we could say ends in Y, and in between, absolutely any character 0 or more times.
That's how you like verifying email addresses and things that you don't know.
Exactly. But like, if you want an idea of like how fucking crazy regexes can get, email regex.
99.99%. Oh,
And it's that right there.
Jesus Christ. Okay.
Ta-da!
Copy and paste.
Yeah, and like, honestly, that's exactly what you do. Just copy and paste that, and here's my email validation regex. If you have to do that by hand, that's how I would do it. And that's it working in practice. Like, that's kind of the thing. There's no perfect email regex. There's always some weird case that doesn't fit with these. There's another one with a valid URL. I think that one's even gnarlier. Valid URL regex. Nope, it's easier. Well, that one is at least. Yeah, so here you go. Here's some
907.
crazier ones. Ta-da! And so like there are limits to how much we can do with regex. Another good example of that is HTML. You cannot verify that something is valid HTML with regex. And there's a really funny one, valid HTML regex. Let's see if I can find the Stack Overflow one. Stack Overflow. Please tell me it's still there. Here it is. So, regex, match open tags except XHTML self-contained tags. This is like classic Stack Overflow. Questions on this have been disabled. So I need to match all these opening tags, but not the self-closing tags. And I came up with this. Do I have that right? This is a classic answer. You can't parse HTML with regex because HTML can't be parsed by regex. Regex is not a tool that can be used to correctly parse HTML. As I've answered in HTML and regex questions here so many times before, the use of regex will not allow you to consume HTML. Regular expressions are a tool that is insufficiently sophisticated to understand the constructs employed by HTML. HTML is not a regular language and hence cannot be parsed by regular expressions. Regex queries are not equipped to break down HTML into its meaningful parts. So many times, but it's not getting to me. Even enhanced regular expressions used by Perl are not up to the task of parsing HTML. You will never make me crack. HTML is a language of sufficient complexity that cannot be parsed by regular expressions. Even John Skeet can't parse HTML using regular expressions. Every time you attempt to parse HTML with regular expressions, the unholy child weeps blood of virgins, and Russian hackers pwn your web app. Parsing HTML with regex summons tainted souls into the realm of the living. HTML and regex, and so then he just keeps going. Have you tried using an XML parser instead? So, but this post looks exactly as it's supposed to look. There are no problems with this content. Please do not flag it for our attention. HTML tags leaking from your eyes like liquid pain. But yeah, this is
Where are the comments?
it's pages of them. But yeah, that is not sufficient to catch an HTML tag. Cool. Yeah.
When they are getting sufficiently long,
Mhm.
is there a way to break them up to multi-lines, or do they need to be on a single?
They need to be on a single line, but since we can use that new regex constructor, you can build a string in multiple lines and then run that.
Oh,
Yeah. What else? What else you want to know? Cool. So here's what I want to do now. First, I want you to read. Yep.
one more question.
Yeah. Miriam.
Are there other things like Rubular, which is like made for Ruby regex? Are there other online systems like that?
Like for testing regexes? Yeah. So the one that basically everybody uses is this regex 101. And there are a couple different implementations of it, and so you can pick which one you want to use here. But if I type dog, cat, dog as the test string, you can just type these expressions. You can test out expressions here. So that's what I do anytime I'm actually writing a regex, is just play with this until it works right. And they give you like explanation stuff on the side. But everybody I know who needs to test regexes does it in here. Great question. So I'd love if everybody, one more thing. The reason they're called regular expressions, it has to do with like a language classification thing. There's such a thing as a regular language. I think it's a Noam Chomsky term. Regular language. A regular language is a language that can be expressed with a regular expression or a deterministic or non-deterministic finite automata or state machine. So like that's fancy speak for super predictable. So that's why we can't parse HTML, because it's not super predictable. The rules are kind of complicated. But if it is super predictable, then we can write pattern matches for it. All right, so what I want you to do right now is I want you to go to regular-expressions.info. If you look up regular expressions, this is probably the second match that comes up also. And I want you to go to quick start, and I want you to read this whole page. So this will give you an idea of like some of the kinds of things that you can do. It's not too terribly long. Don't go too deep on it, because I do want us to practice a little bit before stand down also.
What was the link you said?
Regular-expressions.info, and it's the quick start link. Read through this, and then we're going to do some exercises together. This is new to me. Remember, there's no I in denial. It's amazing. All right, let's get our hands dirty a little bit. So what I want people to do is go to Regex Crossword, regexcrossword.com. Start on the tutorial, and how this works is it gives you a regex here and a regex here, and whatever you put in the middle has to satisfy both of them. So A or Z, A or B, A is the only thing that satisfies that. So you validate, and then you do the next one. So next one is either B or D or F, either A or B or C. Well, B is the only one that matches both of those. So we move on. A or B or C, and then begins with, this one, inside of a group like this, if it starts with a caret, it's not. So not A or not B, C is the only one that matches. Then A repeating, A, and then A, and B repeating. So this one, A, and I think that one's A. There we go. This one, A, a question mark is any single character. A single character, B, a single character. And this one's A or C, this one's B. So that one's B. This one is A or C. Or no, sorry, I did this wrong. The question mark is globbing. The question mark in this case is optional, I think. So optional A, optional B. So see how far you can get through these. And if you feel bad about yourself, don't, because the Regex Book, let's see if they have it. Take a look how thick that fucking fucking book is. It's a very large book. Regexes are complicated. And it's one of those things that like everybody says, one of these days I'm going to actually learn regex, and nobody ever actually does. But let's spend now until stand down just playing with crossword. Yeah.
Maybe it's just because I don't fully understand how common regex is used in the wild.
Mhm.
But why, I guess, are those books so thick? It would seem to me like regexes have a lot more importance than I'm immediately giving them.
Well, think about something like URL validation or email validation. Somebody needs to do that. Now, we get the benefit of it by just saying, oh, cool, you solved this regex, so I can just use all of your work. Somebody needed to figure that out, though. So, and those are like the last two pattern matching problems that we are going to have. So, ergo, we have all this. Also, a lot of like regex stuff happens under the hood for us, like figuring out whether or not something. Here's a great example: linting. Linting is like going through your code and analyzing it and figuring out like whether or not you are mixing tabs and spaces. Okay, well that's a regex problem. So, like I said, you can have a happy, healthy career, write very, very few regexes, but somebody has to. I'm glad it's not me. A or B, A or B.
That's it for the tutorial. That's the last one in the tutorial, right?
What is plus?
Plus is repeating. I think plus is 1 or more, asterisk is 0 or more. Did I not get it? God, is that not it? I could have sworn.
That's the last one. You gotta go out into.
Right. No, I don't think I passed it. Oh, maybe I did. There we go. Okay. H or E, L. So not S, P, A, or K. I'm gonna go with.
That's actually kind of cool.
The titles are good for this one.
Oh. Oh, I see. Hey! Dope.
It seems like someone like regex is like as minimal as it can get. Like it's like you were talking about what you call programming golf yesterday,
Mm-hmm.
with how the fewest characters you can do it.
Yep.
Like the jargon for regexes seems so minimal.
It is. So think of it this way. Not every programming language is the same. We have high language and low language. So high language, we're saying int age equals new age 15. It's very like almost English language style. At some point, this needs to turn into beeps and boops. So in between those, lots of stuff has to happen. So we go down, if this is, I don't know, like Java, basically, then maybe that goes down, the JVM is written in probably C or C++ or something. That goes down to assembly. That goes down to machine code. And that goes into beeps and boops. So we got all kinds of different levels. If we look at assembly, we get real grown up real fast. It starts not resembling human friendly language pretty quickly. So regex is like kind of like a more simple, like not as capable, but sort of more in this range than in this kind of range. Also, I'd say this stuff, well, really all of this stuff, this is more computer science. This, software engineering.
C++ isn't software engineering.
It's kind of like what joins these two things together. But usually what you're doing is you're writing something that you would write software on top of with something like that. More so than you'd be writing direct software, especially in 2020. That wasn't always the case, but it's increasingly the case now.
What does a dot mean?
A dot is any character. Any character except, I want to say, return. \1 is what's called a back reference. So that refers to the first match you found. So if like we have a, we're matching a character group and it matches A or E, \1 will be whatever it actually matched, whether that was A or E. Matching groups have something to do with that as well.
I'm on the beginner. Yeah, it's just the first level. Yeah. Because I don't know, I didn't read all of it. Simpleton? Yes.
Got one. Multiple answers or? Multiple correct answers for this?
Maybe. I don't know. Well, I didn't get it right. I thought that for sure would be it. Hmm. Yep.
Wait, so O is not.
And B. Oh, I got it. I don't understand the hint either.
I want the next one is ridiculous, I don't understand.
Yeah.
Because
No, after this one. Yeah, on that one.
I'm on the symbolism.
Yeah,
I'm on that one.
I don't understand it. I
I
don't know what it wants. Plus.
I tried just doing all spaces.
Phil wants to be doing what he can.
So when you see something like this like Cobra plus, so this will match any one of these, and the plus is one or more. And so it's C or O or B or R or A, and then followed by a C or an O or a B or an R or an A.
What are
I thought that meant whatever one you have to use, you have to repeat.
I don't think so. It might be.
Can you explain the top left? Where it's like the parentheses, dot, plus, backslash one.
So
Good 3 years before this matters.
the dot matches any character. The parentheses are a matching group. The one is a back reference to whatever actually got matched. The plus is repeating.
Oh my god.
What?
That's
Moving on to it. This is all.
You guys asked for it. It's not part of the fucking curriculum.
How else? High score isn't.
I don't know.
All right. Well, I gave you another thing to ruin your life over. All right. I'm gonna send out the survey.
Look at the next one. No, look at the next one.
Okay.
Oh, it's 0, 0, or all of us.
Look at that.
So any character repeating.
I think the first I was gonna ask first. Dot.
Well, this one is.
Slash plus. Slash.
They're all
Oh.
slashes.
Got it. I got it.
Oh, nice.
This is just all slashes.
No, it's not.
Okay. That could be anything. This one is. Anything repeating. An optional anything followed by anything repeating. No, why wouldn't that work? No.
That's a big deal. I'm kinda curious what these.
Please.
I think they just get like big.
And- An optional character, any character, followed by any character repeating. Oh. Got it! So inside of the matching group, that star doesn't do anything. It's actually a star.
Oh my god. Oh.
All right, we're at 5:04. Send out the survey. So, before we go, any last questions about Regex? How it gets used, why we use it, anything like that? Yeah,
Any conventions to it, like write it a certain way or?
not really.
Okay.
Cool, thank you.